Yeah, hi everyone. This is SportsReplays. Yeah, absolutely shocking week. Again, just terrible. This disaster. I mean, it's just getting worse and worse every week. I don't know why I'm doing so bad this year. It's just crap after crap. Didn't even win a match this week. 0 league wins. Usually at least get one or two, but I can just get none. It's just crap. This shocking. Very frustrated this week. It's more about the players who I traded out who did really well, like Matt Flynn in Fraser and Dacos, who I was thinking about bringing in but didn't. So we'll start off with the back line. I think Sheasel 86 wasn't particularly that great, particularly as a vice captain option. I think North just aren't particularly crash hot at the moment. They're actually performing worse, and they're probably probably the second worst side at the moment. It's hard to tell. They've only really had one good game or a couple okay games. The first 2 weeks were alright, but after that, been pretty disappointing. And then Jai Clark, 94, so I got rid of him. I actually brought him in for Fraser, which Fraser actually got more than him, which is a bit of a surprise. A bit frustrating, and it's sort of one of the things that, which is annoying. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I still think Clark's going to score more long term, but it's just frustrating. I wasn't expecting Bulldogs to do that well. Like, I did tip them to win, but not to dominate St Kilda. So it's not going to happen every week. But yeah, I think with Freo, you do have Clark. What's his name? Ryan back there as well. So it's a bit of a competition with him. And the defenders are still going to do well. Not a disaster score, but I mean, I've got bigger problems. So look, if he's going to average 105, that's fine. But 80 from home. It's a bit disappointing in the last quarter. Didn't score too much. I think none of the Geelong players actually didn't particularly do that too well with Supercoach wise, even though they won. I think Hawthorn had a better Supercoach scoring. So I guess they won the main stat, Geelong, and that's the scoreboard. I think they've lost out a lot of other stats for that match as well. So, look, 80, it was going to be a bit of a tough matchup, but I mean, it's not particularly what I want, but it could be a lot worse. And then Matt Roberts, 119, bounced back. So if you traded him out, you'd be sort of been a bit frustrated like how I was with Fraser. And then the Conning's actually gone up with a 75, which is a bit surprising. He must have only just gone up a bit. So he's going to be traded out soon. He doesn't really get in that rucking role that we were hoping, and it was just a bit of a disaster me bringing him in. I don't think I've made up too much money, maybe. I need to look up. I need to go back to most trades to see how much money I have made. And then you've got Bias, 79, so he bounced back towards the end there after a bit of a slow start. So in terms of that, look, I got all this, that major scoring. So I had no rookie or any bench option that outscored any of these defenders, which is good. 54 from Sullivan, so he probably has to go soon. And the same with 38 from Zach Reid, which is disappointing. Reid still has that, I think, 80 score in him or 100 score in him, so he might be all right for next week. We've got Collingwood to the back line, might be under fire next week. And then Saronga's captain, 102. Another frustrating decision. I think it go my way. So look, 102, not good enough. They played Melbourne. Melbourne actually played well, a lot better this week. So he didn't quite dominate. He wasn't terrible. Again, though, if I had a better VC option score, I wouldn't have the result as the captain. So I'll probably need to bring another Primo in my side to sort of alleviate that pain a little bit. But it's still hit or miss. You may be playing a weak side, but they may play good, the next round. You can't really underestimate anyone. Melbourne still had, good, decent players playing. That's why I'm surprised they're this low. And then you got Ashcroft, 43, which is probably the biggest disaster in my side this week. 43 is just not good enough. Look, he's performing really well up until this point. That's probably one of the major differences with my side too, which we'll get to in a minute, because this midfield's probably the weakest out of the lot, and just a huge, huge mess at the moment. Just disaster galore. Probably by far my worst line at the moment. I mean, I've been complaining about the defenders, but there's way bigger problems, as you can see, in midfield, and it's just something I want to probably refocus on more than in other areas. There's a few other players who do want to bring in from defenders, like with the midfield, but we'll get to that later in the video. 43, yeah, probably the most disappointing in my side this week. Rosie, 103, so he's bounced back a little. He's got back-to-back hundreds, so that's fine, even with Butters in the side. So they bounced back well, Port Adelaide. I think people are underrating Port Adelaide now since I've got Butters back in. People sort of unrating his influence, I think, a little bit. I think I did tip Sydney and I tipped Hawthorn the other week, but I sort of overlooked, Zach Butters. So I think people start underrating Port Adelaide the last couple of weeks because they lost against Essendon, who weren't in particularly best form, but it's an up and down season with a lot of these sides. You just don't know who's going to win sometimes. And then Oliver, 91, so he's probably just stale at the moment. There's nothing really exciting about Oliver at the moment. So it hasn't been a disaster, but it hasn't really gone the way that we wanted. Hasn't got that 140 plus score or even 120 that we were looking for. So if he can bang out a 105 average, that'd be great from here, but yeah, he's probably going to be a trade out soon. But unless he's going to perform a disaster score, it's the least of my worries at this moment. And then Finn Callahan bounced back with 116. So showed what he's made of a little bit. So I'm happy about that. Otherwise, I could have been in a bigger disaster. And then Levi Ashcroft, 89. The only thing that really good came from that match. Otherwise, that match was an absolute disaster. Yeah, 89. I'm happy with that. So hopefully we'll still generate more cash. The Max Hall, 48, which is disappointing. Didn't realise I had him on field, but we'll talk about the problems with the midfield at the moment because I think that's where I'm losing 100 to 200 points every week. The other two lines is probably on par. And then we've got Morass, 30. Again, that's just disaster. So, and then you've got Kako, 55, who is actually increased in price. There's actually more than Morass. So, I mean, he didn't even kick a goal. I was hoping he'll kick 3 goals against West Coast. And you're thinking, why you've got Kako in the midfield? Because, yeah, I've got no cover in the midfield. Kako's the best option at the moment, which is a huge concern. And then these two obviously aren't playing and got dropped, which is another concern. So disaster in the midfield. It's probably been the biggest blunder. I just haven't concentrated this year much in the midfield. Usually it's the other areas where you're sort of a little bit weaker, particularly forward line. But this year it just seems to be a thing that I've overlooked. And then the rucks to Conning and Sherry. And then we got Boyd, who didn't play, which is another issue. But we'll get to that in a minute. Flynn ended up getting 140, which just pisses me off because I got rid of him a few weeks ago and he ended up playing and has a game of his life. And then you've got Horn Francis, 94. Okay, everyone has him. Not going to talk about him. And Sam McRae, 104, bounced back a bit. Was one of their better performances from St Kilda. Otherwise, disaster for them. 86 for Ranklin. A little disappointing, but it was going to be a tough matchup with the wet. 88 from Daniel. Yeah, that's all right. And then 48 from Humphrey. A bit of a disaster there, which we'll get to him in a minute. 82 from Davidson. That's great. And then you got Cleary. Traded him in for Stone just to get that extra cash. Look, it's probably more for short-term play. 30 is just not good enough. So it's going to hold his cash gen. Henderson didn't play. Another problem in my side. And then you've got Neb at 40, who's actually lost. So as you can see here, a lot of the problems are in the midfield, which we'll go into we'll go into a little bit more in depth now. So first off, Dacos, a player that I didn't pick, just went off 171. So if you had him, you're miles ahead of a lot of other people. Unfortunately, a lot of people did. So he's going to go up in value, and it sort of makes life difficult. I was thinking about bringing him this week, but I got Clark instead. It was probably a wrong move in hindsight. I'm going to have to learn from that. I think Brisbane used to had an off night. They weren't, pressuring their opposition as much as well, particularly a player like Dacos. So you expect a bit better for Brisbane, particularly, with a player like Dacos. So that's another thing too. Ashcroft, it's at like a 140 point differential between, Dacos and Ashcroft. So that's just a massive loss there. Plus you got Max Hall and Moraes on field. So that's where I really lost it, really. I can complain about the defence losing points with Fraser and Clark, but when it comes to Deconi, maybe lost about 50, 60 points, maybe with a Whitfield or someone like that, or a Sinclair. Sinclair didn't perform that great. But that's not where I'm really losing majority. It's the midfield here with these two players, and same with Ashcroft not performing too well. There's just no bench here. I've got to have to put Kako. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to bring in the midfield this week. That's just, I have to, and probably won't even do that for the next couple of weeks. In the forward line, I was planning to get rid of Humphrey, but that's not a huge problem. I think I'm losing more points here. Ideally, I'd rather have another forward line there. And same with the flex position, only 40 there. So that's where I'm losing a lot of points, is just not having another primo midfielder. I mean, I can complain about Humphrey. He's losing cash now. The Gold Coast were off that match for 3/4 of it. So I'm hoping he still continues to get a game. If he hasn't like another good performance, who do Gold Coast have? So Sydney might be a bit of a tough matchup. So he's probably going to high break even. If you're going to trade him out, you probably do it this week if you can. If you don't have the problems in my side, I don't know if Moraes is going to play again after that performance. Well, I got North Melbourne, so if he does, he might actually be alright hold, to be honest with you. Because if he gets an 80 or 90 score again, he's going to regenerate cash again. With Max Hall, it's probably a trade out at 250 with just an average, which is 48 then. So he's probably a trade out. And who are we going to bring in for that? Well, I'm going to have to use a boost this week. Sort of before I do that, who's everyone playing this week? So no buy. So that's all right then. So you got Carlton West Coast for each. Oh, West Coast, interesting. Okay, what I'll do, trade out Max Hall. Tunstall, probably wait for another game from him. Now, Sardis does come back in. Could bring him. He might come back here potentially. Played well in the VFL. The thing is, there isn't particularly that many options either. Either here. Xavier Lindsay actually lost money. So Grenade, I traded him out at the time. And Traeger didn't get a game. So there's actually really no good midfielders to bring in. And that's a huge problem. Maybe you could take the risk with Erasmus and Dunstall playing, but their job security is very low. Elijah Hewitt is probably one that I missed out on. He's going to keep his spot. And this is what I mean. There's just nothing really here in a midfielder to get in, unless there's a rookie coming in, or Tunstall and Erasmus keep their spot. If they do, I could probably gamble, particularly with Erasmus. Fremantle did lose, so they might potentially make a change. Who knows with that? There's just nothing that I'm keen on here, which is frustrating because that's where I'm really struggling here in the midfield. It's just, a real kick up the arse. What I can do, could probably trade O'Sullivan out and get some cash off him. Is there any recent defenders? So you got Matthew Carroll, if he's playing. So I can get 402k. And potentially get rid of maybe even a Moraes or a Nivert. Who Geelong play? Carlton, tough matchup. He might be gone. Maybe ideally Moraes, although maybe a Nivert, get rid of him. Ashcroft's probably still got some more money to make. So probably ideally you want to get rid of Nivert. Trade him in. 591k, which isn't ideal. Who can I get? Who's performing well? Look on the average. Peter Wright. That's funny. Peter Wright, 145. Couture, Liberatore, he's gone down actually. It's all about average. Geez, he's gone up too. Matt Rowell's an interesting one. Because he had a good start last year, but he dropped off. But he's looking good this season. He has like one or two poor games, but he's been pretty good the other matches. So I'm tempted with Matt Rowell. I'd still rather have him than Nivet on the field, that's for sure. Sinclair, Miller's actually done well as well this time of the year. Dacos could probably might as well bring him back in. He's got 24k and he's not going to get any cheaper after that. So I'm losing 17k from that. Do I have a boost? No, I don't. I need to activate that. So I could do that. Ideally, I'd rather do it from another starting point. So I could trade out perhaps Henderson or Humphrey. Trade out a Humphrey. Dunstall. Durden did alright. Could bring him in there. Play 2 week size as a small forward. It's probably not ideal. You can probably get a quick cash gen though. And you got Will White. It might actually be a decent pickup. So I'm tempting to go him just to get all Durden. Trade him. Carroll. Use that boost. Activate boost. Throw it out near Vert. Where's Dacos? It's 176. Money. So I'll have some money to make an upgrade next week. Well, bring in Dacos in. Get rid of that. That's one less problem on the field. Still got Max Hall on there, which isn't ideal. But that's still a lot better. So that's probably what I'm going to do at this stage. If Will White's playing, that way I've got extra money next week to make an upgrade. And then maybe bring in, hopefully, some sort of forward here. Maybe for Davidson, although it looks like he's still going to cash gen. So this is why I'm not really concerned with the forward line as much. Pretty happy with it. It's just it's mainly the midfielder. That's where I'm losing all the money. So that should be a huge plus. There, and then we've got really Max Hall. He's my lowest scoring player. Or Will Wright. Whereas if he does well, it shouldn't be much of an issue. It still will have a few rookie scores, but it should be a lot better next week, I'm hoping. But yeah, that might be it for me this season. Who knows? But yeah, just poor choices with traps. Players that I trade out doing well again, and really following the crowd. Was there really keen on DeConnie going in, but it sort of worked out with Perryman and got the cash to upgrade somewhere else. But I think defence is probably okay for now. And if these Carlton rookies are all playing, that'd be great. But they were playing weaker side, so they're playing Geelong next week, which isn't really going to be an easy matchup. So even Geelong's midfield's probably the weakest part of their structure. It's not going to be particularly that easy. So it's going to be interesting. If they are playing, that's going to be who I'm going to bring in and still have that extra money left over. So the next week, I'll probably bring in another rookie off field, and I'll hopefully make me catch up a little bit. Maybe bring another forward. Probably ideal to get another midfielder on. Because I do want to bring in, I think, Nick Martin maybe for the forwards. There's quite a few decent forward selections. And probably another midfielder. And I want to bring in midfielders. There's quite a few players I want to bring in now. Who I do want. You just need to have the cash for it. Anyway, you probably did better than me. Most people would have. Thank you for watching. And have a great week.